Alright guys, real quick, just want to say thank you guys for watching. If you end up enjoying this video, then you can like the video. It really helps me out, and also subscribe if you want to know when I upload next. I also do other videos like Miraculous Ladybug. I plan on finishing my WandaVision reactions once RWBY's done, and I also plan on doing anime reactions at some point in time. So if you guys want to know when I upload those, just subscribe, and thank you again for watching. Alright, let's get started with the video. So Ironwood, I want to talk about the good things before I talk about the bad things, because there is some serious bad things that I will be talking about, and a little bit nervous to talk about, but I will nonetheless try and get through it. So the good things first. One, this guy really reminds me of Kylo Ren now. Right off the bat, when the episode started, of the guards being scared to relay information reminded me of the stormtroopers or the First Order officers that would have to talk to Kylo Ren, and they'd be fearing for his life because he was someone who didn't like to get bad news, and once he got bad news, he destroyed stuff, which is also something Ironwood did in this chapter too. So there was a lot of that Kylo Ren feeling from Ironwood in this chapter. I also do like how everybody is visibly scared of him now. Like, they can tell that he can go off the deep end at any moment. No doubt the fact that he shot a councilman, no doubt that's been spread around the office, and everybody knows about it now. Now nobody wants to get on his bad side. Even Winter, you could see the fact that she prolonged telling Ironwood that they weren't the ones that set off the bomb and that Yang and the others escaped. Like, it reminded me of when a kid did something bad and they try and like just prolong the parents knowing as long as possible. Only this time, Winter, you know, was fearing death. I also noticed the paladins on the screen while Ironwood was messing with the controls. I don't know what he was doing, but I did see paladins on the screen, which is why when Mantle was being attacked, I thought Ironwood just sent the paladins after them. But no, that's not the case. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to see paladins in this chapter. And if we do, like, two things will happen. Either one, Ironwood will have complete control, and the team's gonna have to find a way to destroy a bunch of these paladins. Another thing that could happen is, since they are Watts' creation, we could have Watts taking over the paladins, and now basically Salem has a bunch of paladins. Whatever happens, like, there's a good chance that those paladins might come back, which I am pretty excited for. And then I also put a little note about Harriet putting the blame on Winter. Like, you could tell when Winter outranked Harriet back on that ship, you know that she was going to try and get back at her any way she could. And of course she had to be petty and basically tell Ironwood, who I'm not surprised that she would tell him, but like, Harriet saw Ironwood shoot a man like right in front of him just for yelling at him. Like, why? Like, do you have no compassion in your heart? Do you have no sense that there's a good chance that Ironwood could shoot Winter dead right in front of you, right in that office, just for failing Ironwood, just for disobeying his orders? Like, I feel like Harriet was either not thinking when she said that and she was just being petty, or she knew that there was a good chance that Ironwood would kill Winter, and she was like, do it. Either way, like, Harriet, I just don't know. I feel like, honestly, whatever the case is, I feel like she is long gone by now. She's not going to have any change of heart anytime soon. She'll be right in a cell right next to James and Jock. Alright, so now I want to talk about Ironwood's character and where he started in Volume 2 and where he is now. As far as the character himself, I can't say that his character wasn't planned from the beginning. There was definitely hints since Volume 2 when he brought in his like army to basically the Olympics and said that it's for safety. Like, we could definitely tell right away that he is very over the top, very nervous, very just like on his guard all the time. So you could tell that they were planting little by little that he took things a little bit too far. And doing so without thinking. Like Crow even said in Volume 3, like, did you not think about the ramifications of bringing like a huge part of your army to the Vital Festival? Like, and even Osmond said, like, this will put people on ease, which will bring in Grimm. All right, and there were also other hints as well. Like, for one thing, Ironwood even said in Volume 3, he was basically saying that during battle that you make decisions without thinking about without thinking, and you don't think about the decisions that you make until the battle is over, which could be a little hint to a semblance, but I'll talk about a semblance in a second. That's the negative side of this conversation. But sticking with Ironwood as his character overall, we also had other things like the embargo in Volume 4, and then also the fact that he was messing with aura, messing with technology that can take basically someone's soul and put it in a different in a different person in order to get an edge off Salem. Like, even Ospen and his people were a little bit hesitant about that kind of technology. Like, Glinda didn't like that technology at all. But Ironwood went ahead with it because it could possibly be used against Salem, which it ended up being because, Penny exists. But yeah, there were definitely hints that Ironwood could turn evil. And I feel like people that say that RWBY ruined his character and like, are they're upset that Ironwood is the way that he is. Like, you can be upset that Ironwood isn't the character that you thought he was going to be, that he's not a great character, but you can't say that RWBY ruined his character, because this was his character. This was the plan from the beginning, and unless you have proof that this wasn't the plan from the beginning, then there's no way that you can say, that RWBY ruined his character, because really that's just you saying that I wish this character was gray. I wish this character was more on the gray side and more, complicated than he ended up being. And I won't lie with you, I also want a gray character in this show. Like, I would never be against that, because gray characters bring complications that the heroes have to overcome. And the more complications that these characters have to go through, the better for me, because it's more entertaining. But just because Ironwood isn't that great character doesn't mean that Ironwood is a bad character. Ironwood is a character that's honestly very interesting. The fact that PTSD and the fact that he's just been doing this for so long has gotten to him, and he's slowly becoming less of a human being. I think that's a great idea for a character, and I think that having Ironwood be that character is no problem with me. Do I wish that there was a great character in RWBY? 100%. And I hope that we get that next volume, or we get that very, very soon, because I feel like the characters do need a great character to face. But honestly, great characters are very interesting. I feel like that could be a video on its own. What makes a great character? If by the end of the series, or the end of the season or volume in this case, if that character ends up following the heroes and ends up believing what they believe, are they no longer a great character? Have they just been consumed by the hive mind that is the main characters? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Like, I feel like that could be its own video on itself. Like, do I believe Ironwood is a great character? No, because he shot a kid, he killed a man, and he basically messed up the only way for these innocents in Mantle to escape. Do I think he's an interesting character? Absolutely. There is just one problem with him, which this is now the ugly side of this conversation, which is Ironwood's semblance. I 100% hate it. Without a doubt, 100% despise this semblance. I think it's dumb. I feel like it takes away from this brilliant character that you once had. And I feel like it's also, I'm going to say it, insensitive in real life topics. So just talking about first how this affects the character. Like I said before, the fact that Ironwood is somebody who is suffering through PTSD, his own soldiers, his own robots were used to attack and possibly kill many people in Beacon, which is something that he was trying to avoid. It's the whole reason why he brought this army, so we can save people. But Salem ended up using his robots to do the exact opposite. The fact that just in front of everyone that his prized possession, Penny, was not only shown off because she was a secret, but also destroyed. The fact that Salem seems like this unstoppable force that just comes out of nowhere, like that nobody was suspecting. Once again, Ironwood is a very careful man, but he did not see this, like, he didn't see the attack coming, and he ended up losing. He lost. Everybody lost in the fall of Beacon. So the fact that this character is gone through so much, and the fact that he's been doing this for so long, all those things alone, I felt like was good enough to justify him doing whatever it takes to stop Salem and to keep the world at peace. And I felt like that was enough for him to sort of just willing to sacrifice a few hundred people, a few thousand people, a whole city, you know? And the whole thing with the ends justify the means argument is that the means keep growing. Like, you keep sacrificing more and more and more and more. And that's usually what the main character fights against. That's why the main character is usually against the ends justify the means. Because, like, because just like, you know, murder, you never stop. Like, you don't know when to stop. But it ends up all being thrown away because of the semblance. I'm going to read from the wiki. Basically says, Ironwood's semblance metal strengthens his resolve, which allows him to carry through his decisions, helping James hyperfocus. So this is seemingly a passive semblance. This is not something that he controls. This is just something that ends up happening when his aura is on. And basically, his mind basically has him focusing on one thing and one goal, and basically blocking everything else out, which is why he blocks out the suffering of Mantle, which is why he's blocking the fear that his companions feel when they're in the same room with him, which is why he blocked the fact that he shot a child, because to him that child was in his way of defeating Salem, so he needed to go. It seemed like the logical step. That's basically the justification for why Ironwood is like the way he is. And I feel like it takes away from everything else that he had, because at the end of the day, no, it's just a semblance. And I feel like the reason why they did this was because they looked at the script that they had and they went, oh wow, we really had James do some pretty messed up shit. We have to justify that somehow. And they just created that semblance. And I feel like, first, if you feel that his character is suddenly going off the rails, maybe that's a sign that you should dial it back a little bit. And two, honestly, once again, I feel like his past doesn't justify, like, means it's right, but it explains why he does what he does. And I'm not saying, once again, that it's a right thing, but I'm also saying that, you know, I wouldn't look at it and go like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Because, I mean, I feel like if you play up the PTSD, if you play up his past, maybe if you show like a flashback of him before when he was training and then something happened and he wasn't able to stop it, just, you know, something to build up the reason why he is the way that he is, then I feel like that would be enough. I don't feel like you should just tack on a semblance, which, by the way, wasn't mentioned in the show. There's a chance that it was hinted in volume 3, but no one outright said it. And I feel like something as big as this semblance, which is basically driving him to do what he's doing in this volume, in volume 8, like sacrificing the lives of people, killing a counselor. I feel like for something as important as that, you shouldn't be hinting towards it. You should be telling us what his semblance is and why he's acting like this, if that's the reason why. But instead, we're just getting like attacked on, not even in the show, but during a Q&A, reason why Ironwood is the way that he is. And I felt like that was so lazy. It reminded me of what, I forgot if it was Kevin Feige, but somebody in the MCU, just like offhanded during like an interview or something, said, oh yeah, the whole reason Loki was acting the way he was in the Avengers is because Thanos was influencing him the whole time. It wasn't because he was doing his own thing. It was because Thanos had some kind of magic thing on him. And it's like, it's like, seriously? That completely destroys everything about his character during that movie, and even a little bit during Thor's movie, and even a little bit during Thor's The Dark World movie. It's like those sort of things that are not even planned, but just are tacked on because reasons outside of the show. It deals a blow to the show, deals a blow to the characters that are in the show, and it turns me off from what's happening. Which is why I try to ignore the semblance the best that I can. Like, I don't even think about the semblance when I'm watching the show, because then I won't be interested, because I honestly hate that semblance with a passion. The other reason why I don't like this semblance is because of the similar characteristics that Ironwood semblance has to hyperfocus, which is something that people that go through ADHD have. I'm going to read the description that I got here from, I'll put the website down somewhere in the video. But basically they say hyperfocus refers to an intense fixation on an interest or activity for an extended period of time. People who experience hyperfocus often become so engrossed that they block out the world around them. Children and adults with ADHD often exhibit hyperfocus when working intently on things that interest them. So yeah, basically, similar to Ironwood, people that go through hyperfocus, they basically like have that tunnel vision where they focus on that one goal and they sort of turn off the world around them. And during that time, there are chances where they may accidentally say something to or do something to somebody close to them when they're just focused on that goal. And of course, they don't mean it, but they can't help it. It's something that they're born with. It's just like they need to focus on that one goal. So if you like come in and you're trying to like interrupt them somehow, they're gonna want you to leave. So they might say something that they regret, or they might do something that they regret. And that's basically Ironwood. He has a semblance, something that he can't control. It's seemingly passive. They never said that it wasn't. And it's not something that he like turns on, right? And he has this goal, which is to defeat Salem. And he's basically shutting off everything around him, which includes the suffering that other people are feeling, so on and so forth, like I said. And and don't get me wrong, if a character has this sort of semblance, I honestly think, okay, fine, that's fine. That's representation right there. You can have a character that's going through a semblance like that. I'm sure a lot of people can connect with him or her. But the problem is that you can't have that character be so inhuman and so like somebody with that semblance needs to be pitied. Somebody with that semblance you need to have sympathy towards that sort of person with those sort of traits, because people in the real world, good people, go through those sort of struggles, and the last thing that they need is to put on their favorite show and have Ironwood, somebody with a similar problem, be vilified so horribly, like to the point where he just doesn't seem human anymore. Like, remember what I mentioned with the visuals when I said that they really did a good job making him seem very inhuman with the piercing eyes and the gray body. He didn't look human at that time. And to dehumanize somebody that's going through a similar struggle that real people are going through, like, honestly makes me so upset. And it's just not something that I like at all. I definitely, like, this is something that I did not like. And then to have like everybody around him just be scared of him, be so afraid of him, to show that fear, and to have people even people outside the community like say that he lost his humanity, that he's a villain now, and people are having more compassion towards Cinder after this chapter than Ironwood, and I completely understand why. Cinder looks so human in this chapter, which I'll get to later on. Ironwood, on the other hand, he couldn't be farther from human. And the fact that once again, the fact that he is going through something that actual good people are going through and that they can't control is something that is so just disgusting for me. And I don't like it whatsoever. But yeah, and I don't like talking like this because I feel like RWBY is not bad. They're not bad people. Once again, I feel like the only reason that they did this was so they can justify all the things that Ironwood does. I don't feel like they're going against people with ADHD, that they're targeting them and that they want to attack them specifically. I mean, they seem like at least like now they're becoming more and more inclusive. So I don't think that they would do something like this. That being said, I feel like they really dropped the ball with this, and like what they did was just wrong. It was the wrong move. It was just wrong. Simple as that. But yeah, I think that's enough talking about Ironwood. There's definitely the good. There's definitely bad. Definitely things to talk about on both sides. Which honestly, this is a discussion that I would like to hear from you guys. What you guys think about this? If you think I'm just talking out of my head, or if there actually is a mistake here that RWBY made, and too late to fix it now. And also, there are 4 chapters left. We're gonna see what happens. That's definitely my thoughts on Ironwood. Moving on, we have Cinder and Watts.